Lots of people have lots of thoughts on that recent return back to the limelight for the former royals known as the Sussexes, Harry and Meghan. And when you think about it, as we pointed out before, Prince Harry looked completely uncomfortable throughout that whole venture. And it's clearly obvious to see why, because obviously he didn't feel exactly this was the right thing to do. And as the sort of news filters back out now and you find out exactly what went on behind the scenes, you can understand his reticence to get too involved. He looked completely bewildered, lost, disinterested, whatever you want to call it, but it didn't bode well, did it? Now, as ever, other things start to come out. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much as ever for your time. And by the way, thank you so much for your positive comments about the two-tier policing system that we have dubbed over here in the United Kingdom. It's fascinating to see that you have similar things in your part of the world. You do kind of wonder, the softly approach, does it work? I would suspect not. I think that you have to be rather firm, but my belief is this, correct me if I'm wrong, for anybody who's been in the armed services out there, I know many of you join things like the police force and stuff like that. So one might say that because we don't have that as much now, yes, we have the wonderful armed forces, but most people don't transfer over. After the period of the war, the 60s, 70s and 80s, lots of people went into the police. They understood discipline and law and order. When you look at some of the people today, straight out of college, out of university, part of me feels very sorry for them. Totally ill-equipped and given a uniform and sometimes put in situations that they've never experienced before in their very short lives. Is it any wonder there's law and disorder right now over here in the United Kingdom? Back as ever though to your royal story of the day. This was uncomfortable, wasn't it? Yes, remember when of course they brought on this was uncomfortable, wasn't it? Remember, of course, when they brought on to sit alongside Harry and Meghan on the TV show Sunday, the couple who'd gone through a terrible personal tragedy themselves. And I just felt for them because obviously they'd agreed to be interviewed, but perhaps, and I've been told this as ever from a very good source, but allegedly behind the scenes, they had no idea they were going to be placed next to them on the set. They probably felt they were going to be interviewed just, as many people are on camera. And you could see the body language between all, couldn't you? Nobody was comfortable with it whatsoever. Meghan herself looked completely disinterested and at points smiling. You kind of wonder whether that was a bad edit or was that actually what was going on. Either way, it wasn't a good look. But according to that well-placed source, it proved very difficult, in fact, to find people who were willing to go on camera with the Sussexes. Now, you might say that this is because many people felt, oh, this is quite in awe. There they are, one of the most famous couples in the world. And do you actually want to share the terrible tragedy, your own personal grief? Many people find it on digital platforms, doing it anonymously with other groups similarly like that, and I totally understand that. But to sit there on a national television program to recount your story, which is very emotional, takes a lot of personal strength and of course exposure to the media. Many people are not particularly happy about that. As I say, according to a very well-placed source, it proved very hard to find anybody who was willing at that point to do that. And we're not quite sure whether CBS offered anything to the charities of these particular couples, whether there were personal payments. Obviously there would have been contractual deals in place like NDAs and stuff like that. But either way, it had a definite whiff of marketing rather than actually sincerity. And as I pointed out before, this has been proven with the negative ratings that have happened. Now, my heart goes out to all of those people. I thought you were incredibly brave to go on camera. I would have preferred to hear more of their stories, as I'm sure most people would, rather than reiterating once again Meghan's terrible tragedy of her own personal endeavours. We knew that, everybody felt sorry for her, but clearly this wasn't the time or the place. But of course, everybody knows the whole show has to be about one person. And even Prince Harry, I think, reiterated that in his looks. To the other people who were brave enough and kind enough to come on camera, genuinely, we all wish you the very best moving forward. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.